healing, salvation, and happiness. It's your season. It's your time. God has plans for your life to prosper you and to give you hope and a future. Join us and learn how God's love and power can bring hope and happiness to your life. This is your opportunity for motivation, encouragement, and purpose.
Welcome, church family. I'm Renee Johnson with the Daily Gospel Network, where we bring you the Lord's Word every day from some of the country's most inspiring churches and pastors. And today is no different. Let's check out one of the newest members of the Daily Gospel Network.
Welcome to Launch the Jesus Initiative. I'm your host, T.Latoya Cunningham. I'm really excited to have this wonderful author on the broadcast today. He's going to bring some really in-depth conversation, thought-provoking conversation to the show. I'll just give the viewers an introduction of who you are.
Hello, everybody. My name is Trevor Gabadon. I actually just released my first children's book titled Daughters Grow Up So Fast from a father's perspective. And it really just gives you a glimpse of what goes on inside a girl dad's brain as he watches his daughter grow up. I actually have one daughter. She just turned 5 yesterday.
Wow. Well, happy birthday to her.
Thank you.
So I think it was really interesting, your subject matter of the book, because I don't think a lot of people have really embraced this topic, And so when you're watching your child grow up, I think one of the things that we have our own dreams for them, and the things that we want them to do. So as you're watching your daughter grow up, do you see that how she's developing into her own personality, and how has that affected the dynamics of your relationship?
Yeah, so I definitely see now that she's a toddler now, you can definitely see she has grown into her own person. Whereas when she was a newborn, she didn't really do anything much of just cry, make a little bit of faces. And I would only be thinking, what is she going to sound like when she gets to this age? How is she going to act when she gets to this age? And now kind of as she's transitioning, going into kindergarten now, I just see she has a lot of qualities that I have in myself. And it's just like, wow, like genes and how it works.
It's really interesting because people are really shaped by their environment and the people that, parent them, their village, they're really shaped by that. Now, in your book, let's get into your book a little bit. What are some of the topics that you deal with in the book?
So in the book, I touch bases on the feeling I had when that first car ride home from the hospital, just knowing that, my life is changing completely after today, and just how I felt like nervous. I had all types of emotions, happiness, nervous, just didn't know what to expect. Fatherhood so I didn't grow up with my real biological dad. So this was a little different for me. I knew that I would do everything in my power to make sure that I don't mess up our relationship. I kind of spoke on just that feeling when we finally left the hospital and it was like, we're home now. And now it's no, you don't hear nurses coming in telling you, oh, what to do. Now it's just, she's home. And now I have to adjust as being a new father, as well as just learning on the way of how to be a dad. Because like I said, I didn't grow up with my biological dad. So that feeling was, I have a stepdad, yes, but that just knowing, nobody kind of showed me the ropes. So I learned a lot in the beginning. I spoke about just how I would catch myself daydreaming, like the daddy-daughter dates, walks in the park, car rides home, eating ice cream together, being goofy. I touched bases on how time just flew by. She went from a newborn to kindergarten and it felt like 2 weeks. So time definitely goes by fast as you're watching your little one grow up. I spoke about seeing her, picturing her go to elementary school. She's getting ready to go to kindergarten.
Right.
She's about kindergarten every day. She's excited. And the whole time I'm nervous. It's, kindergarten, but she's also at an elementary school around first graders, second graders, third graders. So just wondering how she's going to adjust and how she's going to act.
Now, from a father's perspective, because I'm a mother, So I understand what the whole pregnancy piece of it is. How is it from a father's perspective? Are you guys as, nervous as we are? Are you guys, have the same anticipation? Because I know as a mother, when I was waiting for my son to get here, I was really excited because this was a new piece of me. It was something like I never experienced before. It's my only child. And then the pregnancy piece of it was actually that life was growing in me, and what an honor that was, that I was able to do that, have children. So from a man's perspective, I could see how possibly you guys could feel a little bit left out in that piece of it. How was that for you?
It was definitely different because I'm 25 now. When she was born, I was 20. So, just not knowing, I was there the entire process, but just, not knowing what to do in this, because, when women are pregnant, you guys go through a whole bunch of different emotions.
Absolutely. We're cranky. I'll say it.
And me just learning how can I help? All in all, it was just trying to find different ways to help, knowing when to help, when to give that space, and when to just do things without even being told what to do. Just do
And
it.
that's key. I'm gonna focus in on that. It's with any woman to do what we're not asking you to do. If you see it need to be done, to do it. And I'm sure you find those dynamics with your daughter, how she probably depends on you just to do things.
Yeah, she definitely makes it known. Like, my daddy's gonna do this. My daddy's doing that. Or daddy give me this. Daddy give me that.
So that's awesome. And it's wonderful that you guys have that kind of relationship, because I think that you said something that was interesting too, that you didn't grow up with your biological father. Every child wants that connection. They yearn for that connection, unless it's a situation where it's not healthy for the child, beneficial, but they yearn for that connection for their biological, parents. And so that, to me, because I didn't have a relationship with my biological father, that in turn made me be a better parent, actually, because I was more attentive, because I knew what it was like to feel that void in your life. Is that something you found, as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I could, just an example, when I do speak to my biological dad now, it's no hate towards him or nothing like that. We do speak, everything is cordial, but it's just that awkward feeling, like it's just certain things we can't talk about, or we can only talk for a certain amount of time until there's nothing left to talk about. So when I look at my daughter, I just look at her as, you know what? If anything fails, at least she'll know like she had a dad that loved her, and literally she'll know that I would do anything for her. And I know like how I felt, and being around friends who did grow up with their biological dad, I wanted her to have that feeling.
And is this what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so I've been writing, like I journaled a lot back in high school. I always knew I wanted to write something. I just didn't know what. So I started to write kind of like adult fiction books, kind of like a Sister Soldier type of book. But as I was trying to write those type of books, I kept getting stuck trying to figure out how long a chapter should be. How do I transition to another chapter? Then one night I just thought to myself, my daughter, she's hooked to her phone and tablets and things like that. I know she reads at school, but I don't think she reads as much at home. So I just started thinking about what books was I reading as a kid and what books would I want her to read, and everything just clicked.
We see so many times in the media that they want to make Black fathers look like they're all insignificant, or they all abandon their responsibilities. And that's so not true. I believe there's a lot more people who do what they're supposed to do than not. But I remember growing up and we would watch television, Black sitcoms, and so we had good times. And it was a struggling Black father. I believe they was in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he was angry. Okay. And then as we progressed a little bit farther, we had the Jeffersons, where this was a Black man who had his own cleaning, business franchise, and he was doing well. And then we got into the 80s and we had Bill Cosby. And Bill Cosby, he has contributed so much to the to the nucleus of what the Black family looked like, because everybody wanted to be like the Cosby Show, you know. And the spinoff, A Different World, well, that inspired people to go to university. So, and it showed the heritage of Black people with HBUs doing positive things. And they don't really like to show that often. But, you know, one of the things that I loved about the Cosby Show is that the mother had a job, the father had a job, the children wasn't in trouble, they lived in a nice neighborhood. And so those kind of images are rare and far and few these days. So that's what I loved about your book, that it's giving us imagery of what's really happening with the pulse of what's going on right now in a millennial generation, that there are fathers that's doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Now, one of the things I want to ask you about the book is the book written as a story, like a narrative book, or is it written as if someone would use it as a manual, some tools and nuggets, or is it a combination?
You know, I would say it's a combination, because in this book, as up until that elementary portion, these are some of the stuff that we've already, we've done before, as far as in, the car ride home. That's something I experienced as a dad. So that's kind of like me just replaying the story in my mind of exactly what happened, that first car ride home, that first day home, just adjusting to her crying and just waking up at any little sudden creak. And then you fast forward to when I'm speaking on this picture in her getting ready for high school, going to prom, guys knowing that eventually she'll have a boyfriend. Fast forward, I'm thinking of how I will see her when she goes to college. And then towards the end of the book, the very end of the book, I illustrate this picture. It's me, her, and her mother at a table. She's a grown woman now. I'm an old man, but I'm handing her a book. And on the spine of the book is titled Life Guide. And that life guide is actually me giving her this book I wrote for her.
That's awesome. Have you talked to other, Black fathers that's around your age? Have you had the opportunity to, see what their response is to this book?
Yeah, when I released the book, I promoted it. I'm still promoting it now. It's just released in April, but I got a lot of positive. Anybody I should tell about this book, it's nothing but positive energy from it. And a lot of, just strangers would come to my Instagram, repost it, just if they have a daughter, they're like, this book hit home. Literally, I read the book to my daughter, and these are similar, if not the same thoughts that I think about myself. So I definitely got a chance to speak to a lot of young fathers, some younger than me. Some of my friends now are kind of in the process of having kids. They have daughters, and they just come to me, asking me questions now. And it's a good feeling knowing that my book kind of brought some people together and kind of introduced me to some people that I probably thought I'd never talk to. And then, I released this book, and it kind of just shined a light upon all the dads out there that feel exactly how I feel about their children.
That's wonderful. And there are fathers that love their children and want the best for them. And that's what we really have to put out there. And I believe that we have to control the narrative of what people think about our families.
Yes, I definitely agree that I think if you can't let someone paint your picture for you. I think those days, as far as we can't control what social media and what the news outlets want to put out in the world, but we all know ourselves. So all we can do is try our best to just paint a new picture.
Absolutely. So how many chapters are in the book?
So it's actually not a chapter book. The book is about, it's probably like 20 something pages.
Okay.
I know that was the kind of the good thing about the children's books. I didn't have to make it so in depth, because my age group as of now, I don't know, maybe in life if I'll transition into making books for older children or even adults, but for now I think my books are going to be tailored for like kids ranging from age 4 years old to 8 in grades kindergarten to 3rd grade.
That's awesome. So this is something that you could sit down with your children and read with them, and they can read along.
Yes. In fact, I think even this book in particular, this is something that you don't even have to be a child. If you're a female, a woman, and you have a dad, I for Father's Day, I was selling these books to a lot of women my age. And I would be writing like just messages, sweet messages inside the book that they gave their dad. And I'm just like, this book would take your dad down a trip down memory lane, because your dad probably never told you what all the thoughts he was thinking in his head when he watched you grow up. So, I was like, you know what, if you buy the book, just let me know what your dad thinks. And they were all just like, my dad loved it. He said, these are definitely some of the thoughts he had in his head as he watched me grow up. And now I'm grown now, and they'll read it themselves. And they're like, wow, if this is how you felt, I can imagine how my dad felt.
And that's awesome, because this does sound like a book that go across demographics, all demographics and age groups, because it's needed. It's really needed in this hour. And is it an easy read?
Yeah, I think it's very easy. I think anybody who reads this book to a child is gonna just see that child's face light up as you read to them. And if it's the granddad reading it, the grandmother, the father, the cousin, it's just different moments in this book where they can think, okay, wow, well, my daughter, my granddaughter, my cousin, they're getting ready for elementary school coming up. They're getting ready for middle school coming up. Oh, they're in high school now. Oh, they're in college now. Well, I remember when she was a newborn, my thoughts. So I think everybody will be able to relate to this book if you pick it up and read it.
Now, is this book something that you could read if you have a son as well?
I think you can if the son has a sister.
Okay.
I'd say that's another book I'm working on now. I'm in the process of doing like a kind of like a spin to this book, but because I don't have a son, my process behind that book would be, I'm going to go around and just asking everybody who has a son, I'm just going to go ask a series of questions. And then I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but once I get the questions put together and the answers, I'm going to try to make it similar to this book, but not quite the same sequence. It'll definitely be different because I don't have a son, but I think for all parents who have sons, they're going to be able to relate to that book as well.
It's really inventive to have both sides of the dynamics. So when you do the book for the boys, because it's something with a father and a son as well. I mean, and you've spoken to that piece of it, how it's very important.
Yes, I think definitely sons need their fathers. I think a lot of the times, like for example, take myself an example. Like I grew up with my stepdad, but I feel like, I'm very successful. I'm happy at where I am, but I feel like if I had my real dad behind me and, just pushing me and just telling me the stuff that he went through as he was my age and stuff like that, I'd have a better understanding of what life truly means. I'd probably be, who knows, I probably would have started writing books at 20 and not 25. I'd probably be 10, 15 books in. But everything happens for a reason. And I do think that active fathers need to be put in a spotlight now and not later. Oftentimes only thing you see in the spotlight is when a father, you see a lot of stuff on social media when a father's doing the wrong thing, and that's like an image that I'm trying to erase. I know I can't erase it by myself, but it starts with my books. I think my books will teach my readers, they'll experience love, knowledge, and lessons. So that's the picture I'm painting with as an author for me. And with the book, when it comes to, I don't even know the title yet, but with that book, I'm just going to shine a light on that relationship, that father-son relationship. So maybe with that book, I'll probably, touch basis on just the dad teaching the son how to change a tire, brakes, getting haircuts. Like, these are things that I'm still learning now, and I'm 25. So I think that book would definitely kind of be written similar, but very different, just because I don't have a son myself. But I'm going to make it relatable for all the dads and parents out there who do have little boys.
And that's awesome. That's really good, because it's really needed, some positive literature to read, and just painting that picture of understanding, because a lot of people don't understand. And I tell people all the time that people can only give you what they have. And if they don't have nothing to give you, they can't give it to you. And I remember years ago, I was watching a Christian TV station, TBN. It was really big at that time. And it was a pastor on there. And he said, so many of you are upset and are crying and are hurt because your biological father was not in your life. He said, but God did not cause that to happen. He said, but God allowed it to happen through free will, because he gives everybody free will. He says, but God needed your father to get you here, because the only entrance to the earth is through the womb of a woman. He said, so he used your father to get you here, and stop crying about that, because God knew that that was the purpose of your father, just to get you here, because some of you would have been messed up. He said, had they been in your life, and you thinking maybe they wouldn't be, you wouldn't be. But he was like, some of them just don't have nothing to give you but life. And that was really profound when he said that. And I was like, whoa, because I was sitting there when he was talking about fathers, and I'm tearing and I'm crying, and I'm thinking, well, why my father didn't want me? But I didn't understand that he didn't have the capacity to carry me or to nurture me or to raise me, because he didn't have it for himself, or didn't necessarily receive it. So some fathers just don't have it in them. And it's unfortunate, because broke people, hurt people. And sometimes women and men get in relationships with people that's broken, and then you end up, being with them and having children, and they haven't got rid of their issues. So as soon as they get responsibility, they bail, so that's just something. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely, but that's actually a different way to think of it. I never thought of it like that. Maybe his sole purpose was to just give me life, because without him, I wouldn't be here. So that's a different way to think of it. And I think, everybody, I myself would think, what if, like I just said, maybe I would be doing XYZ if he was in my life, but maybe not. Maybe I'd be a totally different person and on the wrong path to destruction, and just doing all types of stuff. So that is a different way to think of it. I definitely do think hurt people. And that's never good for a child, because you're talking about a new breath of life, fresh in the earth, can't take care of themselves. And if you're a hurt parent, there's nothing worse than that, because all you're doing is just giving that hurt to the child. And, you always hear kids pick up off things, kids pick up off energy. And I never paid attention to it until I had my own child.
Right,
and
you do.
I started seeing, to this day, I make silly faces all the time. I've been doing that since I was a kid. And but I've never made these faces around my daughter. And as I watch, her daycare has like these video cameras that I can go look at what she's doing. And the same funny faces that I used to make, she's doing it. And it's just like, well, where did she learn that from? And it's like, well, you know what? All those times where she was a new, 2-3 months, and I'm just, she picked up off of that stuff. And now she's doing exactly what I was doing. We got the leadership award and the truth. I think it was the truthfulness award. And I was just like, well, she had to learn that somewhere.
Because you're a good father and she has a good mother.
Yes, she definitely has a great mother. So I definitely know, again, if I was a hurt parent or she was a hurt parent, this child would be a totally different child.
And that's why I shared that with you, because there's always a different perspective to things. And thank God for a good stepfather, because some of them ain't good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Thank God, because I believe what's so powerful about having other people that help raise you, your village, is that they are volunteering for, they're not forced. They don't have to be there, they want to be there. So that's so powerful. And I think that your book is going to be life transforming. I think it's going to speak to so many people, about, different things that concern them. And so it's really powerful. Where can they find your book?
So this is actually the book right here. This is
it's cute.
Yes. And then that's actually a live photo of my daughter.
Oh.
And on the back, it just says, remember, a girl's first true love is her father.
I can see that. That's awesome.
And the book is exclusively available now. It's on Amazon and Kindle. This is actually like my bookmark flyer, stuff like that, with my author pages and stuff. But as of now, it's on Amazon and Kindle. I'm in the process of working on getting it available in stores such as Barnes and Noble and Books A Million.
Awesome. Are you going on a book tour?
I want to. That I have a couple book fairs. I know I have a book fair coming up in Atlanta, Georgia. It's in September. Events and book fairs, book tours, just to kind of grow my target audience and just grow let people know the story behind the book, who wrote the book. I mean, they know my name because it's on the title, but they don't truly know me. So as I've been doing podcasts and interviews, everybody's saying, I appreciate you for coming on the show from, we know this book definitely came from the heart just from speaking to you. And that's kind of how I want people to view it. Like when you pick up this book, the author behind this, there was 100% truth behind this book.
Awesome. So what are your social media platforms?
Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
And what are your handles?
On Instagram, it is Trevor_the author. On Twitter, it is Trev_the author. And Facebook name is Trevor Kid.
Awesome. Well, I just thank you for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure meeting you and talk with you. I know your book is going to do great things. I can't wait to have you back on again for your next book. I'm excited for you. And tell the people where you're going to be in Atlanta. Do you have the information available? Or if not, you can just tell me later and I can put it, under the video and the links.
I don't know the address for sure. It's in the invitation I got. So I'll definitely be able to update you with that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I tell all my viewers every week to be engaged in the things of God, to be equipped in the things of God, and to be excited about the things of God. I'm your host, T.Latoya Cunningham, and I thank you for tuning in and watching Launch the Jesus Initiative. And remember what I tell you every week, read your Bible, it'll bless you. Amen. So thank you guys for tuning in for now. Bye-bye.
For more information on today's Spotlight Church, visit them on the internet and follow them on social media. I'm Renee Johnson with the Daily Gospel Network. And until next time, remember, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.